Umbach presentation than
Provision for
last
maintenance.
Yeah.
month.
Full like
Yeah, it may have been first of the year, but it was
I don't know why.
around that.
And I saw
Is that-
a lot out of
Is that
Bill Batten, his house to
Baker
Yeah.
and Daniels? Is
Still on the
Baker?
No, it's out of Chicago.
Okay, totally unrelated.
Unrelated, yeah.
You're up.
I beg your pardon?
We're good.
I
I've
marked
signed
you
this.
got a pen or
I was
yeah.
gonna talk
Oh,
about a couple things in
okay,
here.
well, I haven't signed it,
Okay.
just so you know.
you get, but I just wanted to
Okay,
give
yeah.
you guys a copy.
Yep.
When did you guys change your name?
Baker's Hill, yeah, March 1st.
So what? I thought it was 60 or 90 days, but
Had several people ask, so did we fire them all?
yes, and we hired Baker Tilly. Are we ready? Okay, good. We'll go ahead and call the April 30th, 2019 meeting of the Mooresville Redevelopment Commission to order. First item on the agenda are minutes from our April 4th, 2019 meeting. We have both the executive session and the regular meeting minutes. I believe those were sent to you prior for review. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve both the executive session and public meeting minutes.
There's a motion to approve both executive session and regular session minutes from April the 4th. Is there a second?
Second?
There's a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the financial report. I believe that was emailed this afternoon to all for review. If you've had an opportunity to review, I'll ask for a motion.
Move to approve the financial report.
There's a motion to approve the financial report as emailed to you. Is there a second?
I will second.
There's a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the meeting for the underlying taxing units that is required by Indiana statute. Tonight we have Jason Simler with Baker Tilly here to make a presentation. Baker Tilly, formerly known as Umbach. So, Jason?
Thank you. I also have my colleague Isaac Bales with me. Has a PowerPoint presentation that you have in front of you. I hope to pass that out to the audience as well. But I thought we'd kind of go through this summary of the report, very similar to what we've done for you in the past at this time every year. And just kind of more for the audience, I know we did this late last year, as the legislation tends to do every year. They kind of tweak and with the tip areas and what the redevelopment commissions are required to do. And you remember our discussion last year. One of the new requirements was the redevelopment commission is required to meet once each year, and invite all the overlapping tax units to a meeting, to a public meeting, and provide at least 3 pieces of information. A budget of the allocation area, kind of talk about the long-term plans, projects that the redevelopment commission wants to do with the tax increment that you collect, and then also provide kind of impact of what the allocation area has on the overlapping tax units. So this PowerPoint presentation tries to summarize your area, then also meets those 3 requirements. So page 2, again, you have one area now. It was 2 areas that you can consolidate it. So area 2, or page 2, just looks at each area, the original area, and area number 2, and then when it was consolidated. Because as you create your area and then also expand it, it has different sunset dates. As you know, when you create a TIF allocation area, all the assessed value that was there when you first created it, it stays with the tax base, and all those taxes generated from the base goes to help fund the budgets of the town and the county and the schools and libraries. So it's only the increase in assessed value is what you capture. But you only capture it for a certain period of time in those sunsets. So each time you create an area or amend it, it has a new kind of ending date. So we kind of established those there, and those are important as you're looking at kind of long term, looking at other future projects, looking at other bonding possibilities. We keep track of that for you because we want to make sure that you don't bond out for something longer than your TIF's going to be there for. So it's important to keep all these dates in mind. At the bottom of the page, looking at last year, you collected, or we had estimated you collect $2,070,000. You actually collected $2,068,000, so that's very good to see, almost 100% collection rate. Shows the people in the TIF areas paying their taxes and paying them on time. For 2019, we're anticipating that tax increment to grow to $2,183,000. So as you know, you get elected about twice a year, about roughly 50% in June, and the rest of it in December. Page 3, kind of going with one of the requirements as far as the plan of the area and the kind of purpose of the TIF area and this board. We've kind of showed here some of the projects that you've funded over the years. The first two that I mentioned there are just your obligations, legal obligations that you have. As you remember, you issued bonds in 2014 for $12 million. There's $11.3 million outstanding. Those bonds mature in 2039. And again, they're payable just from the tax increment collected from the area. There's no other security. A lot of times bonds will have property tax backup or income tax backup, but this bond issue just has the tax increment pledged to it. You can refinance these bonds, pay them off or pay a portion of them off early if you so choose to, and they mature in 2020, or you can call those beginning January 2023. The other obligation that you have is the town issued state revolving fund bonds in 2010 for some utility work. In order to kind of keep the utility rates low as possible, they did come before you and asked if you would help pay some of the annual payments on that, and you did agree to do that in 2010. So of the annual payments, $300,000 of that is paid annually from tax increment. Those bonds mature in 2031. And at the bottom of the page, just listed a couple other projects that you helped contribute to the improvement or construction of, such as the fire station, police station. You helped fund drainage study for the town using TIF money. Again, the sewer bond payments, the gateway projects, which is a lot of what the bond issue was issued for. And then a couple of different economic development projects there. The big one being TOA, being the biggest taxpayer in the county, but also in the TIF area. The next page kind of looks at the budget of the allocation area. Again, this is just kind of a budget illustration, working with Chelsea on this. Again, it's not set in stone, but just kind of an idea of where and what the tax increment that you're collecting is used for. So again, looking at the top line, again, in 2019, you can see the tax increment's $2,183,000. You have your debt service payments, your principal interest payments on the 2014 bonds, and the SRF bonds. We've set aside about $130,000 for professional services, and then the remaining lines are kind of capital projects that you either have talked about or kind of set aside money to pay for. $800,000 for infrastructure this year, and then $300,000 thereafter. Just economic development projects as they pop up and people come to you, we allow for $250,000. The Shell building that you've discussed for a couple of years now and are still discussing, we've set aside some money for that project. And then $500,000 for the Gateway project. So you can see in 2019, again, these are just budgeted numbers. About $2.8 million was $2.9 million of potential projects to be funded this year. Which leaves $700,000 more expenses than revenue, but you do have a balance from prior year's revenues that can pay for that. And you can see going forward, if you look at the TIF estimate, you can see that's increasing a little bit each year. 2.2 million was 2.3 million in 2020. And the reason for that increase is you do have a number of property taxes that have abatements, property tax abatements. So as those abatements roll off, you'll collect that additional assessed value, which will generate more TIF for you over the years. So if you have to answer any questions at this point. So project 5, kind of going off page 4, some of those capital projects that we budgeted for, and then again, the idea for the redevelopment commission is you do these projects, and that will just either generate additional economic development and additional growth, and hopefully generate more revenue. So to do other projects, kind of looking at some kind of long-term investment that you're putting into your own area. So page 5 is looking at the future projects that you'd like to finance your revenues. So you have the shell building and infrastructure improvements. We talked about the High Street path and lighting associated with that, and then economic development projects as they come along, and then the future gateway planning is a big project coming down the road that you can use tax increment for.
I would note on this page is that the commissioners will recall that we have committed funds for the second bullet point, High Street lighting and pathway. We have already indicated that we will financially support those two projects when they happen, and they are currently in the planning stage right now.
So page 2, again, kind of going back to what I said, just the mechanics of TIF.
Page 6.
I'm sorry, page 6. Yes, page 6. Again, the blue area is the base assessed value that you don't capture. That was the assessed value that was there when the areas were first created or amended. And then the green is all the growth. And again, kind of the poster child of a perfect TIF, which is what you have seen in your area. As you continue to invest in your area, that assessed value is going to continue to grow over time. As it continues to grow, but once you hit those deadlines, those sunset dates, all that new assessed value will flow through to the tax base. So the goal is to keep investing, keep growing that assessed value. The more you do, the more you'll have to be able to pass through at the end of its life. And that's the orange area. So what I've done on page 7 was just to show, if you could, which you couldn't legally because you have bonds outstanding, but if you, what it would look like to the tax rates and the overlapping tax units if you were to pass through all the assessed value that you're capturing in 2019. So if you looked at the top of page 7, the town of Mooresville tax rate, it's $1.8961 cents, $1.81. And I've broken that up between the various units. So you see the county unit is 24 cents, plus another 3 cents. The township has 5 cents. The town 52 cents, all the way down to the school. They all make up $1.89. The next column over is the tax base. So that's all the net assessed value that's in each one of these units. So for instance, the county has a tax base of about $3.1 million. The town has a tax base of $461,000. And then if you go over to the far right, that's the town's budget, the $2.4 million. So
I think you missed a decimal part comma there. Isn't it $3 billion for the county and
yes.
$461 million?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes. So the budget for the town is $2,414,000. So that's dictated by the state. Towns at their maximum levy, they can't raise any more property taxes than what the state allows them to. If you look at the box there, you get the tax rate of 1.89. You're currently capturing $115 million of assessed value. I have a little bit of circuit breaker, subtract out, and that's how you come up with the $2,183,000 that we're anticipated to collect in 2019. So scenario 2 looks at if you could, and we're wanted to, pass through all $115 million, what that would do to the overlapping taxing districts. So if you kind of go back to the town again, the budget is still $2,414,000. That can't change because the state again tells you this is your maximum amount. But now you can see the tax base of the town has increased from $461 million to $576 million because now that $115 million that you were capturing would flow through the tax base. So keeping that budget the same but increasing the tax base, now the town needs a tax rate of 41 cents instead of the 52 cents. So again, kind of passing through assessed value increases the base, so it decreases the tax rate. So we've done that for all the different units. So the town won't see any additional revenue out of its general fund. The only revenue that the town will really see will be out of the CCD fund. Because those funds, the rate stays the same, so any increase or decrease in assessed value changes the amount of revenue. So by increasing the town's tax base by $115 million, the amount that they can receive in their Coon Cap Development Fund or CCD fund is about $51,000. And the county has a similar CCD fund, so they'd see an additional $35,000. But all the other units, they won't see any additional revenue, they'll just see a drop in their tax rate. And if you combine all the impacts for all the units, you see about a 22, almost 23-cent reduction in the tax rate for the town of Mooresville from $1.89 to $1.66. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Commissioners, questions for Jason? Dr. Moore?
Once again, as in when we did this November, December, that scenario two, say through the budgeting process, the school corporation elected to keep their tax rate at 0.7874, which they can do through the budgeting process because they're not at their max, then that would generate more income shown from them. In other words, the income generated would be greater and as the assessment went up. That would be an interesting scenario for the taxing units to see also, I think.
So the school's not at its max?
No.
So if their school's not at its max and they wanted to keep the 0.78, there could be some additional revenue from new assessed value.
Yeah, and that would be a scenario three where that could be shown. That's all I suggested then,
Okay.
and that's what I'm suggesting now.
Okay.
So how could they keep their tax rate at the same?
If you're not at the maximum levy, you can generate more revenue.
For which school fund, I guess? I'm assuming this is the,
In the school corporation, the tax rate for the last 11 years now has been 0.7874 at the option of the budgeting process. That's what they hold it at, based on what the board wants the tax rate to be for the town. The actual cap on the tax rate for the school corporation is somewhere over $1, and we'd have to check with them and see what it would be. So they don't take it up, but they could. So if he says that we're going to increase the assessment and therefore you will lower your tax rate, that's not correct. What it could be is the tax rate will stay the same, and with the assessment, the school will have more funds generated. And that's not shown here, but that's the case that could exist. And that's why I think that would be an important scenario 3 to show.
Yeah, we want to look at what the school's maximum levy is, because they could, if they're not at their maximum levy, they could go up to their maximum levy, up to that ceiling.
And I'm not up on what the max levy is, but I know it's
It changes every year. It goes up by
somewhere
the
up
growth
in there.
quotient.
so which funds now are funded by, which of the two school funds, which one's funded by property taxes?
Like the school capital project fund, transportation fund.
Right, but not the operating fund.
No, the operating fund's funded by the state.
Okay.
So it would just be those few funds that are,
the student count sets your operating fund,
Right.
yeah.
and the state tells you based on what you tell them you have. That's set.
Right.
But then you would have more working dollars in the other funds, the tax generated funds.
Other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, public comment. Seeing none? Next item on the agenda, Southbridge Crossing. Chelsea?
Last month, we received 2 bids for paper patching at Southbridge. If you remember correctly, they were not apples to apples. One was from Wallace Construction for $6,880, or $6,880, and one was from Harding Group for $18,733. The commission selected to reject both bids to receive more apples to apples bids and gave me the authority to move forward once I received that. Upon a further conversation with Wallace Construction and getting an apples to apples quote, they came back at $15,607. roughly a little over $3,000 difference, lower than the other bid. So I did award that to Walls Construction last week, in the amount of $15,607.
Thank you. We did authorize Chelsea to do that at our last meeting. Do we need a ratification or last?
Technically, we don't need one, but I mean, it might as well.
May I have a motion to ratify Chelsea's actions of awarding the contract to Wallace for in the amount of $15,607?
I will make said motion.
A motion to ratify Chelsea's actions with Wallace Construction. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion passes.
Thank you. The second item, I don't have it on the agenda, but I wanted to bring up, there is a bill from Riverside that is in our docket for services that were performed. We had a parking lot light out in Southbridge. Per my contract as property manager, I think it's $2,500. I'm allowed to spend up to that without formal approval. This was $5,863. It required boring a new conduit and pulled wires to restore power. Again, that was $5,863. It was the parking lot light that is in the south corner, so kind of by A1, the cinema. I moved forward with it because I did speak with Commissioner Gutzwiller, and I felt like it was a safety issue. And from timing, I didn't want to wait. It took a while to get on the calendar anyway, so I'm apologizing for doing that without formal approval, but I'm bringing it to you now and bringing it to your attention.
Do we have a motion to ratify Chelsea's actions for the awarding the contract to Riverside for safety purposes in the amount of $5,863?
I move to ratify.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I will second, but I will preface that I'm doing this because it was deemed a safety concern. If we could do that in a more formal setting.
Yes,
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion passes. Anything else in Southbridge, Chelsea?
That's all I have to talk about.
Next item on the agenda, gateway projects.
I do not have an update out of the Bicentennial Park. I will say the park benches have been ordered. They should actually be in, I believe, this week. So anxious to get those in. I remained having State Road 42 High Street on the agenda because I keep waiting for update on the public meeting. I still don't have one. Been told May or June. We're approaching May and I haven't heard anything about one. I reached out again this week to ask and I haven't heard back. So my assumption is it's not going to be the first part of May, or else we would have heard about it so we can publish it. As soon as I do know about it, I'll make sure that the town council knows they can discuss it, hopefully at one of their upcoming meetings, and we'll make sure it's on the town's Facebook page. So. There is another invoice in the docket that I wanted to discuss. It is for, and you can pull it if you so choose, but it is for a replacement light pole for Deanna Street and decorative base, and banner saber arms. So the banner sabers are the ones that hold the banner signs out. Some of those have been damaged in the storms. We got some replacement poles for that, and then a replacement light pole. Initially, when we first ordered the light poles, we ordered replacement poles with the thought process that we would have replacements in stock. Then if, should there be an accident, we would essentially go after insurance for whoever caused the accident consideration in approving this. I've also made it known, I sent an email to everyone, including the town and the police, that this is very important, that we do this going forward. The police knows that this is very important going forward. I will say, I think in the past, the poles were owned by IPL, they were wooden poles. I don't think it was as big of an issue, and they didn't do as much damage. But the police department now knows. I've had a conversation with Chief Allen, and they've done a really good job of catching people. I know we've had some issues, several issues in Indiana and Maine, and they've been working with those insurance companies to get that pole and that skirt replaced also. So. And that's in the amount of $5,154.
And this is for the one that, that we did not catch, that we could go after. Okay. Well, with that, I would make a motion that we approve the replacement of the light pole.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
That's all I have.
Old business, Poly property, do we have anything there?
Really don't have anything to update.
I didn't think we did. New business. Any new business? Seeing none? Legal update.
No legal update.
Got it.
Or actually, we have some potential changes in the law. I think Chelsea provided a summary of those that we sent to her. So a couple of things might be changing with accordance with TIF districts, but right now they have been passed by both houses, but they have not been signed by the governor. So they are in a wait and see if they become finalized or not, but we'll provide an update if they do.
Are you going to circulate those?
Yeah, I think Chelsea also
No, I don't think she's circulated those.
put them in the packet.
I made separate copies for everybody.
Oh, okay.
I have additional ones.
Okay, if you need extra, that's fine. Oh, that's right, I did see it in here. Are there any you want to highlight, or just, this is just FYI?
There's a potential single-family residential housing TIF, but it requires a lot of conditions to be met before, and again, one of them obviously being the governor approving this, but requires a certain amount of housing to have been built and not been built in previous years, and creating a new allocation area and then only using those funds for certain things. And it could be something that could be discussed if we qualify. There's now a 30-day deadline for notifying the county auditor and the DLGF when we create or amend a allocation area, which is obviously only impacts once we do create or amend an area. And then if we have any structures that are over 75 years old, located on a site where manufacturing operations occurred at least 75 years, you can do special things with those now. And then certain pilot programs in Lake County where extended jobs we've done apply to us. So.
Okay. Any questions for legal?
No.
Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you. Chelsea?
Adam stole my thunder on the legislative update. The gist of my update is that every bill is dead except for 566, which he's talked about. I took that all apart, so this is what you're looking for. Sorry. Otherwise, we're on Southbridge, receiving campaign, so that's always an exciting time of year. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Chelsea? Seeing none. Review of claims. We have claims in the amount of $61,896.45. I think you've all had an opportunity to review those claims. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion that we approve claims in the amount of $61,896.45.
I have a motion to approve claims. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving claims in the amount of $61,896.45? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion passes. Is there anything for the good of the order? Seeing nothing? Seeing none? Our next meeting is scheduled for June 6, 2019 at 6 o'clock p.m. in the same location. If there is a need for an executive session, we will advise you of such and it will be posted. If there's nothing else, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
That one.